What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Well, welcome if it's your first time here. I get a lot of email and a lot of questions from subscribers, and one of the most common questions I get is about an EMP. How to protect electronics from an EMP attack. How to build a Faraday cage. What needs to be protected and what doesn't. And I have several articles on my website talking about just that. One article in particular is really good about how to build a cheap, effective, tested Faraday cage. I'll link to that because you watch below so you can check that out. However, with that said, how likely is it to actually have an EMP attack? And in my opinion, it gets less likely every day, and a lot of people are going to click off right now, but let me explain. Because, an EMP is going to involve detonation of an EMP weapon over top of the United States, and actually several to knock out the whole United States. And there's much more effective ways to do that now than what they were, a few years ago. Now, the most effective way to attack the power grid, to attack banking, to pretty much attack the communications and everything here in the United States that we use to stay civilized is with cyber attacks. It's much more simpler to do that now. It's cheaper and it's much safer for the country or entity that is attacking. Plus, if it is a false flag cyber attack, then it's much more easy to make that look like it was someone else, to point the blame over here on this guy when it's actually these guys over here actually doing that. Plus, with the globalists wanting their digital currency, the AI control structure and everything, they don't want everything actually knocked out power-wise, and communications all knocked out, internet knocked out, things like that. And if you have an EMP attack, that will knock all that out and burn those circuits out and everything, and it's going to be more difficult to fix that. If they have a cyber attack, a false flag cyber attack, more than likely what it will be, then they can have that fixed, or they can have that cyber attack, close everything down for as long as they want, and then put in all their agenda or get everything ready, and they can bring it right back up what they want to, because they'll have safeguards to be able to bring that right back up, and it will favor them in the end. But with an EMP, that isn't that easy, and we're hearing a lot of talk now about cyber attacks. And a few years ago, I think it was about 2 years ago, the World Economic Forum had a exercise. And they do that quite often, and then after the exercise, in a few months or in a few years, it actually happens. It's like they can see the future, apparently. But they had an exercise called Cyber Polygon, and it was all about what would happen during widespread cyber attacks to shut down the power grid. And they war game these things to figure out, what to do, how to do it, how to be most effective, how to control it, because that's what they're all about, is control. And if you have, an EMP attack, that's going to be much more difficult to control, much more difficult to bring everything back up when they want it brought back up, and it will be much more difficult to blame that on someone else. You could blame a massive cyber attacks on, say, North Korea, Iran, some fringe terrorist group, or even some white nationalists maybe, or anything. They can blame that now with proof. Obviously, they always have the proof to the media, and blame that on someone else. But it's much more difficult to do that with an EMP. With the EMP, they're going to know where that came from. There's going to be no doubt, where that came from. And, I'm not saying it can't happen, or that it won't happen, but the likelihood of it actually happening is getting less and less every day, in my opinion, whereas the likelihood of a cyber attack, either a real cyber attack or a false flag cyber attack, both will have the same effect, in my opinion, or pretty close. That's much more likely to happen than an EMP attack, in my opinion. However, there still is a CMP that could happen from the sun. That's happened before. I think it's in 1916, 1918, maybe it was. I forget the exact year, but it was around 100 years ago that happened. And if that happened now, it would be devastating. So that still could happen. So it's still important to protect, your electronics, especially things like your shortwave radios and your two-way handheld radios, for example. Because you want to be able to get information out, you want to be able to communicate with your group, and you want to be able to get on that shortwave and talk to anyone, not talk to anyone, but listen to anyone broadcasting news from around the world. So get a good shortwave radio with a good antenna and put that, in a good Faraday box to protect that in case, a EMP did happen, or a clone or mouse injection did happen, because you want to be able to communicate with your group in your community and then get information from other places, because not everywhere around the world will be shut down completely. You'll still be able to get some information through shortwave frequencies and things like that, and even ham radios and things like that. So you want to protect stuff like that still yet. However, like I said, much more likely to be a cyber attack, and more likely than not to be a false flag cyber attack, one carried out by the globalists to bring everything down, something they can control and use to put in their Great Reset agenda. And you own nothing and you'll be happy. That'd be one way of taking everything too, to shut everything down, shut banking down, and be in control of it. And then when the chaos happens and everyone is begging for someone to step in and take control, they come in and offer a solution and bring everything back up. But in doing that process, they gain everything, all the power, all the wealth, and you have nothing. And that's their plan, in my opinion.
It's likely that at some point there's going to be something that we would consider the worst cyber attack of all time. The worst case scenario, one way to think about it, is that a lot of these devices and systems just stop working. Everything from power grids, our power grid is entirely connected, to traffic systems, to financial systems, and you can kind of start to think of all of the systems and devices that are connected together in digital these days just stop working to some extent. Businesses will stop functioning, infrastructure could stop working, and it's really kind of the worst natural disaster that you could ever possibly imagine. The problem is that all of these systems, as more and more things get digital, we've seen hospitals in the US that have been hit by ransomware that stopped being able to process patients. Think about in a couple of years when most of the trucks on the road that deliver goods across the US are going to be completely automated. They're going to be controlled by self-driving cars and GPS. So imagine if the GPS network goes down, or some method.
Cyber attacks has been in the mainstream media more and more. The politicians are talking about it more and more. And I saw this morning that, I think his name's Travis, over at the Prepared Homestead channel. He was talking about watching a video from Canadian Prepper, which I don't watch Canadian Prepper, but he had watched that video, and he was talking about Canadian Prepper talking about this guy, talked about this guy, said this, but okay, anyway. But anyway, he was talking and said that Canadian Prepper had done a video about a movie that Barack Hussein Obama and Michael, or Michelle, had put out through Netflix that was all about, a cyber attack, cyber pandemic, and it shut everything down. As this predictive programming, they're telling us what's going to happen before it happens. In movies, they do that a lot, so it's a good possibility. I've not seen the movie, won't watch the movie because I don't have Netflix, don't care about Netflix, don't care about anything that Obama really has to say, or his husband Michael, or whoever it is. It doesn't really matter to me, but it was interesting hearing that they put out, a movie about this. Now, what kind of, how likely is it for them to come up with this topic and put out a movie about this? It's like predictive programming. Like I said, they've done that quite a bit over the past years. Put out movies and things, and then it happens, or do these exercises like Cyber Polygon, and it happens. And we had Klaus Schwab here about 3 or 4 years ago. He's the president of the World Economic Forum, in case you didn't know. Most people do, but some might not. But he put out a statement talking about how a cyber attack, major cyber attacks, would be much, much worse than, a pandemic, and how it would decimate, pretty much humanity. And it's like they kind of know. It's like they have this planned out with all the exercises and things. I could be totally wrong, they might not be planning this at all, but it sure does seem like they're planning on actually doing a false flag cyber attack and blaming that on, someone else. More than likely Iran and Russia, so they can have a kinetic war, maybe. Also, they've been wanting that for a while too. The United States has, in the deep state anyway, because they want to make a lot of money through production of military weapons and things. However, if everything is shut down, through a cyber attack, how are they going to manufacture? Because everything now runs on computers, runs on the power grid. They may have ways set up to do that now that we don't know about. They may have backups for themselves or something like that, and they probably do, so it's hard to tell what's actually going to go on. But I think that people put too much worry and time into worrying about an EMP and not enough time worrying about a cyber attack, because a cyber attack will have the same consequences. However, it's more easily to control that, to manipulate that, to bring that back up when they want to, and to blame it on someone else, you know, through that false flag cyber attack. So in my opinion, the likelihood of a major cyber attack is much, much more likely than an EMP attack. But like I said, there's still yet, you know, colonial mass injection from the sun that could happen, so having a Faraday box is a good thing to keep your radios in and communications devices in. And like I said, I'll put that link if you below to the article and check that out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that we're more likely to see a EMP attack than a cyber attack? And don't just say, you know, one sentence. Expand on it. Let me know why you think what you say. You know, I get a lot of comments where I will say something, and someone will come on there in the comments and they will post, "You're an idiot. You're a fool. You're stupid." But they don't tell why. They don't tell what they disagree with. People like to disagree just to be disagreeing, I think, a lot of times. So I read the comments, and you know, I leave some up, but if they get really insulting, I just delete, because I don't think everyone wants to see that and read those negative comments in the comment section. But anyway, it's just my policy here. When it gets too bad, when they get too insulting, like calling names and stuff like that, then I will delete those and usually ban those people. So be forewarned, if you go into the comments acting like a jackass, more than likely you're going to get deleted and banned from commenting in the future. So it's something to keep in mind. So you can disagree, you can give your opinion, but don't be a jackass about it like a lot of people try to be. Anyway, don't think in the comments below. If you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and you like videos like this, be sure to do that, because I upload videos here just about every day on this YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. I'm Creekmore here. I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.